Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, coming to you once again with another thought-provoking and ponderous, interesting discussion. This week we are talking about negativity towards silver investing, both on a larger kind of market level, kind of the negativity that is put towards silver and favouring over gold instead, but also relate it back to some of the sentiments that's shared out there in the stacking community and some of the views of myself about silver as an investment metal right now. So a lot to get through today. I will just put my usual disclaimer in here saying that I am just a guy who likes to talk about shiny things here on YouTube. I am not an investment advisor or anything like that. I'm not telling you what is right or wrong. And in fact, I will be talking quite a lot of negative elements about investing in silver today, and I'm not here to disparage or criticize anybody who has different opinions from myself. So disclaimers out of the way. I've been inspired to make this video because over the last couple of weeks we've seen the price of this yellow shiny stuff, gold, has drastically increased relative to the price of silver. And the ratio has extended even further, which is a really good thing for silver in a way. It means that silver is a good buy right now. But we said that when the ratio was 70 to 1, 75 to 1, 80 to 1, and it's continued to extend. If you bought gold when the silver to gold ratio was 80 to 1, you could have made a little bit of money on the exchange there. So there's definitely a lot of different opinions around which is the best investment to have. And it does seem that the big movers and shakers in the markets, the big investment companies and the big paper investors as well, favour this yellow stuff over silver. And I do a lot of reading of news articles. I try and keep up to date as best as I can, but of course I'm never going to keep up to date with all of the different opinions out there. And it is important to remember that a lot of the articles that one might read, perhaps like I do on Metals Daily, are just opinions of different people. And in fact, a lot of them are written by different bullion dealers who have a vested interest in telling you that silver is perhaps the next biggest thing to break out and to buy. But a lot of the articles that I read there talk about the world generally seeing silver as not necessarily a serious financial asset investment. Of course, it's got its place and it's got certain amounts of kind of financial investment potential, but gold is really where everything is put. The big money movers put their money into the yellow shiny stuff rather than silver. There's a various numbering of reasons why that is. World economics, world politics, world geopolitics, all of these type of things. You know, the stuff going on in the Middle East right now with Iran, the stuff with America and China and trade wars and trade agreements and various things like that. There's Brexit, there's currency fluctuations, all of that jazz. Big institutions want to have something very secure, very liquid and very easy to hold and move. And gold is just that. It is all of those things. Silver, less so. Silver is very much seen as a industrial metal. And you read a lot of these articles that actually end up talking about how positive silver could well be. Start by sharing, you know, some of the stats and figures around silver just being an industrial metal. You know, I think it's over half, it's probably closer to 2/3 of all the silver that is taken out of the ground are used in industrial applications, whereas, you know, the coin side of things and coins and bars are very, very low proportions. We're talking like, I think it's something like a fifth only of all the silver that comes out of the ground is used in bars and coins and various other investment products. Some of it goes into jewelry. In fact, more goes into jewelry than it does into investment coins, which is, I think, really fascinating. But the point is that it is seen as an industrial metal. It's almost seen as a bit of a dirty metal. And, you know, there's a lot of surplus out there at the moment as well. You look at some of the charts and we've had now 4 or 5 years of increased surplus coming out of the ground. There's not been a deficit, which means simple economics. There's more supply, there's less demand, price is lower, stays lower. That's pretty much the nature of the game. Now, very interestingly, when you go forward in those articles, you then get to the bit where most of these companies then start talking about why silver has got so much potential to be an incredible investment return. They then take, you know, evidence saying that the gold-silver ratio, for example, is at an all-time low or high, depending on which way you want to look at it, and that means that silver is the best buy, surely. And it's incredible that the vast majority, if not most of, the world's big investment firms and market movers don't view silver that way. But then when you conversely come back down to the individual stackers, the large proportion of individual stackers will favour silver over gold any time of the day. Now, of course, there's a whole bunch of different reasons for that, and everybody's going to have their own different individual reasons as to why they would want to have silver over gold. And I'm not going to disparage everybody's reasons or anybody's reasons for that matter. If that's right for you, then it's right for you. I buy silver, I still buy silver. Does that make me a hypocrite for talking about the negativity around silver? No, not at all. I like to think that I am a bit more of a pragmatic stacker and a bit more of a kind of real world type person. I see silver more as it's a tool to purchase gold in the future, and I do think there is a place for silver in any investment stack, whether it be in the form of very cool new rounds like these Korean ones, or giant big old bars of Engelhard 50 ounces like we have here. Now, the problem is, though, that you get a lot of people who really do firmly believe, and I can't stress that enough, like it is their mantra, that silver is so undervalued right now, and there's so much turmoil economically in the world, that the world is going to collapse any time now, and silver will catapult itself up to be equally as valuable as gold, or maybe not equally as valuable as gold, but the ratio will come down so far down to its historical averages of 20-1, that silver is where you should put all of your money right now. And there are people who advocate this on YouTube as well, not to name names or anything, but there are a lot of channels out there, investors and stackers alike, who will constantly say that silver is the only form of currency that they should and would have. And I think that that's not necessarily the honest and right thing to be advocating if you've got a big YouTube channel. I do genuinely think that there is a place for silver in any investment stack, hence why I'm holding a 50-ounce silver bar. However, I also think that there are so many pitfalls that come with investing in silver that you really must have a good old hard think about them before you really do overcommit to those types of things. And I've talked about the negativity of silver again. I'm just going to do some of the highlight reel here. The first one, which I'm going to talk about, is more relevant to us in the United Kingdom than it is anywhere else, and that is that when we buy our silver in the United Kingdom, we often have to buy it at a premium. Even if we buy it from Europe, the cheapest silver that you can often buy is 15 to 20% over spot price, and it's usually coming in coin form rather than in big bar form. And when you then sell it on, so when you sell it back to a dealer, you're going to get spot price for it at very best if you're lucky. If it's a big bar like this, you'll probably get less than spot price, because the dealer will say, oh, I have to test it, I have to drill a hole in it, or I have to do various core samples, or drill, they will come up with something that will say they will not be able to pay the full price for it. So you then have to think about selling it on the secondary market, via the forum, via social media, via eBay, or wherever it might be, and there's loads of risks that I've talked about there. So the liquidity of silver is really very questionable indeed, and if I was to try and sell this big 50-ounce Engelhard bar right now, it's going to be hard pressed for me to find a buyer quickly at the right price. Whereas if you take an ounce of gold, like I've done in this last couple of weeks, I sold 2 ounces of gold. One of them sold within 6 minutes, the other one sold within about 12 hours. Really very, very quick turnaround on the secondary market as well. Happy days. And we're talking £1,000 worth of gold here, £1,100 worth of gold each time being sold, and it came out really quickly. So that is very much one of the things to factor in, that silver in the UK certainly is a big potential pitfall if you need to turn around and sell quickly. And that is why I think that there is limited scope for big, serious stacking investing here in the UK. And that's why myself and a lot of other people as well focus on gold, because they see this as much more of a liquid asset and something that can be released. The money can be released a lot quicker in this than it can a lot of other things. Now, so that's not necessarily that relative to people maybe in the US who have access to very cheap spot price silver, or very low above spot price silver, and can sell it back at decent prices too. That's not so much an issue there. But one thing that I have talked about, in fact it was the subject of my most popularly watched video here on YouTube, and that is the weight of silver to its value is just awful. It's just, well, it's not as awful as this copper bar, which is kind of why I've got the copper bar out on the table here, but it's just absolutely dire how bad the value is, and it's only got worse over time with this gold silver ratio increasing. Of course, if the ratio was at 20-1, then one of these bars of silver here would be worth 2 and a bit ounces of gold. But right now, this is worth the equivalent of these pieces of gold that I've got on the table here. So we've got 17 ounces, sorry, 17 ounces, I wish, 17 grams of gold, so just over 0.55 of an ounce of gold, and that is worth the same as this 50-ounce bar, which is, of course, a really important thing if you're looking at space, if you're looking at, now, of course, space is not necessarily relative here because these are all in AccuCards and, you know, plastic cases, so these take up a little bit more space, but if you just had a ½ ounce of, you know, or 2 ounces, sorry, two sovereigns or something, it would be an equivalent value of this big bar here, and it's just tiny, it's light. If anybody's held a big 50-ounce or 100-ounce bar before, you know just how heavy this is, and this is one of the most efficient ways of stacking silver in its weight form because it's just one giant great big bar. If you have 50 of these coins in capsules, you have the weight of the capsules as well, which are about 5 grams each. And that really does add up if you have 50 of these, and then if you have, you know, giant stacks of them. Again, 50 of these one ounce coins is the equivalent value of just over ½ an ounce of gold. It really is absolutely staggering how different that is. And, you know, in terms of sort of security, I mean, I was actually going to be thinking about making a video on security, home security and storage, and how you might go about protecting your you know, stack at home today. And one of the things that stuck in my mind was just the sheer volume that is required for a large quantity of silver. Now, if you're a smaller investor and you've not got a large quantity of silver, then it's not really going to be a problem. But if you are stacking for that long term, if you're stacking a certain amount every month for 30 years, you're going to have so much weight that it's going to be so impractical in the future to look to sell it, let alone if you were in a situation where you had to move house quickly or bug out quickly. You know, there's all of these things. But anyway, look, I've talked about those negativities a lot before, and I could drone on about them again and again. But it does relate back to, I think, some of the sentiment that is out there about this, that it is just seen as an industrial commodity. It is just a giant lump of metal that is used within industry. And that is how a lot of the big investment movers and shakers view it, which is, I think, fascinating stuff. And it really does, I think it just is very telling that these big, big companies out there that invest in high volumes of metals don't throw all their money in silver at the moment. And it's very, very interesting that conversely, all of the different stackers out there, not all of them, the vast majority of stackers out there will throw most, if not all of their money at silver because they think it's better than gold, which is completely, you know, converse of what the general market sentiment is right now in the bigger pictures, which is in itself interesting. And I'd like to think that that's just, I don't know, it's just part of the game and part of how it is, but there is obviously an element of distrust there within those kind of investment banking world. Of course, there's an element of manipulation with any of these sort of markets, but I don't know, it's fascinating. I really think it's an interesting topic, and I'd love to know your thoughts on it. So please do feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on and opinions on today's ponderous topic of negativity towards silver within the greater marketplace. Let us know as well if you are if you're holding for those explosive spot price times. That's one thing we haven't even talked about here today. A lot of these articles will, and you know, some of these YouTube channels as well, will end up talking about $100 an ounce silver, $1,000 an ounce silver, and it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, great, I'm holding some silver. But if you've got your entire strategy based on that, it's just not going to happen. And I see it time and time again in the comments. People will come up and they'll say, oh, I've been investing in silver for 10 years now, nothing's happened, or I've been investing since 2011 and I'm holding on to silver which I bought when it was $40 an ounce and I've lost money, I'm losing money every year on it, all of that. You know, silver is not going to make you money, it's going to preserve your money that you've got. That is the nuts and bolts of it. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed today's rambling on this subject. Please do feel free to comment with your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. That's why I make these videos, to actually get some discussion flowing down there. I really do like engaging with you guys about all of these fun topics. If you are going to comment, please be respectful of mine and other people's opinions. It's just no place for anybody who's just going to be obtuse and a troll, and you'll get instantly banned and deleted from my channel. Otherwise, if you enjoyed today's video, please put a thumbs up on it and share it around on your social media. That would be very helpful for everything we do here. If you've not already subscribed to the channel and you want to see videos like this in the future, make sure you hit the subscribe button and put the alarm bell on if you want to get notifications Otherwise, thank you one and all for watching. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.